No black cats, just straight facts.
Triple P certified.
Listen, we can talk about odds all day. It doesn't matter what the odds are. It matters what's gonna happen. Welcome to the Perfect Parlay Pursuit. It is I, Lukey CK, joined by the Euro Under King, by Danny the Betman. Boys, we are coming off of UFC 285, John Jones versus Cyril Gane, and we did it. We did it, Johnny. We did it. What do you guys think? Alex, you're the big winner. I'll let you talk. We all went 9 out of 14 on our picks. We all were able to predict John Jones. We triple certified John Jones. Alex, you won some money, though. Let's talk.
That's fake news. I went 10 out of 14.
I'll read you who I have here for you. I'll read you who I have. I have you down as Trevin Jones, Valentina Shevchenko, Julian Marquez, and Damon Blackshear.
All right. I did not have Damon. I think I said I was going to sprinkle on Damon because that was too much of a price tag, but I was going ultimately with Basharat. If I remember correctly, and that's what I did according to my bet sheet. So
every week, Amir, every week I tell you I have one score for you. Every week you protest it. I'll go back. I'll check the footage. I'll see what you said about Damon, I guess. But
yes, sir. Okay.
It looks like at best that would bring, even if we don't count Damon, that would bring you to tied for second place with me. In a sense, I'm at 257 out of 406, 257 correct picks given out of 406 total in year 3. Almost bringing year 3 to an end. We're about 100 picks away from the end of year 3. I'm 63.3% accurate. Alex, you're 63% accurate with one pick behind me, 256 out of 406. Unless, like I said, we count Basharat. But listen, this is slowing the showdown. So just enough of this fucking shit you always do every time. And now I've fucking sweared, and I'm not able to get monetized on this now. Guys, changes are coming, all right? No more swearing, no more controversial topics, no more editing. We are just strictly a positive UFC show, guys. We are going to be like all the other successful shows. We're going to be like Clint. We're going to just put the smile on, guys, because we hit 1,000 subscribers. We passed 1,000 subscribers, and we usually will get, for the last 3 years, on average, 1 subscriber per day. We get about 30 to 40 a month. We've had as high as 60 new subscribers in a month, but every single month, I see somewhere between 28 and 40-something new subscribers. It tells me in the metrics. This month, we have not gained a single new subscriber. We have completely stalled out. Now, you tell me, now that the channel has 1,000 subscribers, all of a sudden people are less inclined to click the subscribe button. Doesn't make any sense. I think it doesn't make sense because I haven't clicked that monetize button yet. I haven't actually put commercials on the show, monetized it, applied for the monetization, mostly because I know it's not going to be that much money, and I don't want YouTube's watchful eye of Sauron all over us, trying to keep us in line all the time. But it seems like if I don't click that button, we're not going to grow. It seems like now, once we're at this new threshold, it's like, bro, click the button, and then we'll open the floodgates. I don't know. But what I do know is if you're a loyal subscriber to the show, I need you to do 2 things for me. The first thing I need you to do right now is like the video. Then I need you to send this video and this account to one friend that you know that likes UFC or sports betting. If they like sports betting, get them into UFC. If they like UFC, ruin their life with sports betting, let mine ruin. But what I want from you guys is to share the show. If all 1,000 of you share the show, we're at 2,000 tomorrow. So let's do that. If you have a girlfriend, just go subscribe to the channel on her phone. If you have a little sibling, do that. A mother, a father, do that. Just go do it. They won't notice. Yeah. So just go subscribe on other people's phones. But basically help us out here, guys, because we're in the mud. We need to grow. We need to grow the show. It's an absolute must at this point. It is 100% life or death for the sake of this channel and the growth of this channel. If we don't grow the main YouTube audience, I'm not even talking Patreon. We're going to get into Patreon. But if we don't grow the main YouTube audience this week, we have serious problems on our hands. So everybody who's watching this right now, send this episode to one of your friends. Now, Johnny Bones Jones was Triple B certified. Johnny Bones Jones opened as an underdog. He closed as a favorite. We came on the show. We Triple B certified John Jones. Alex won about $650. Alex had bets posted inside of the Patreon open bet sheet. I had bets placed in the open bet sheet. If you went with me, you probably are looking for pennies in your couch cushion. You are probably putting money and pills from the medicine cabinet to try and resell them or something. I don't know. Probably gonna have to edit that out. I don't know. I mean, I got to read the YouTube bylaws, but my point is,
no more editing. Only say things that
No
you are
more.
confident with people watching.
yeah. All I'm saying is, you're looking for copper plumbing. You're looking for hubcaps. You're looking for car stereos. If you bet with me, we're down bad. My Coinbase account, I'm having to sell some cryptocurrency at this point. And the real problem with my weekend, I think, was that I gambled drunk. I gambled while I was drinking.
That's your Achilles heel, Lukey.
And I started getting nervous, and I started thinking against my own picks. I promise you guys, I will never bet against my own picks again. I will never fade myself again, because I probably will, but to be honest, I was seriously I came on this show, guys. I picked Alexa Grasso. I came on the show. I picked John Jones. With those 2 bets alone, I could have had a really easy night for myself, but I overcomplicated it. I ended up thinking that I was wrong and betting on Shevchenko. And I bet on Grasso a little bit, but not enough. You know what I mean? Not enough. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk. I've been talking for too long.
Can I ask a question, Luke? Did your parlays bust up at Shevchenko, or were they dead previous to that?
Oh, they were dead 7 times over before Shevchenko, but I was rebuilding. And when I rebuilt, I had Shevchenko in a lot. And then as the fight's progressing, I'm like, I picked Grasso, and I'm watching this, and she's not winning.
Won the first round
in certain moments, you know what I mean? And I'm like, so I waited, I caught her live, plus 550. I picked her, and then seeing Valentina losing, I was like, yeah, John Jones is definitely going to lose. It's been 3 years. I was like, so I parlayed Grasso with Gone.
Oh, man. The Lukey special is normally parlays tank, then you cash in on the big dog in the co-main, followed by parlayed with, the stable favorite.
Right.
As the main event. That's the Lukey special.
I know. And I wasn't even, what I said to myself at the time to place the bet, which at this point was pretty much just like to break even, but I would have won, probably like actually $1,000. But I go, but only because it was Cyril Gane and the odds were underdog. Yeah. But I go, okay. I'm like, if John wins, I won't care that I lost money. But if Gane wins, I will be so fucking devastated that I lost 2,500,000 units already and John Jones lost. So I was like, I got to win back I got to either win back the 2,500,000 units, or maybe I lose 3 million units, but John Jones wins. So
you win your heart.
That's kind of what it came down to, man. And like I said, I was a skiff full. I had drank a skiff full of pints deep that day. So, and that's what I got to stop doing. If John Jones can overcome his demons, I can overcome mine. That's what the show's going to be about today, guys. Overcoming your demons. As you see, I got coffee in the cup. We're sober living now, completely sober living. I'm getting in shape. I'm getting back in shape, guys. I'm going to kick off the rust. I'm going to kick off the cobwebs, and I'm going to give you the best picks I've ever given at the final stretch of year 3. I'm going to take first place. I'm going to get money. I'm going to give it to all the people. But John Jones ultimately inspired me. That was an amazing performance from all the weird little moments, right? Like there were so many little weird moments. We'll get into it. But Alex, take everybody through your winning parlay. Let us know the ins and outs of that situation.
Yeah, my winning parlay was John Jones to top it off, over 1.5 Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Neal, over 1.5 on Jones versus Cody, DDP, and Amanda Ribas. I was perfect up until the Marquez fight. My perfect parlay was fully intact. I had a lot of stuff going on. Guess what? I faded myself. Like I hedged against myself on every single fight except for the Marquez fight. Up to that point, I was like, oh, dude, Damon might win this. Damon might win this fight. I'm gonna bet on him. And then I was like, Saman might lose it. And then that groin kick happened, and Mana was still like a plus 400 dog. And I was like, okay, I'll take Mana right now. The groin kick, he got kicked in the nuts twice. Then he got poked in the eye. I was so mad the second penalty wasn't deducted. Because
yeah,
I would have been pretty happy about that. I end up fading myself again on Gary. I bet on Keenan's song, and it looked like he was about to knock him out there for a second. I was getting excited. And then Marquez comes, and I said, Marquez against the power bar is one fight I don't need to hedge on. Boy, was I wrong. I was so disappointed. And then that beauty that hit was my rebuild.
And it was Amanda Ribas, Dricus du Plessis, over 1.5 in the Garbrandt fight, over 1.5 in the Shavkat fight. Jones by nothing, just John Jones.
I was so confident in Marquez. I started putting more bets in with Marquez on them. I was like, instead of doing the same strategy I was doing all night to that point, where I bet a little bit on the guy who I didn't have in any of my parlays, I was like, no, Marquez, nuts on the table time. I was so confident, Dan, I put a $69 bet that Marquez and Jones parlayed together. I don't know
for the fun
why.
of it.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, because then I'll be jazzed up when John Jones fights anyway, and I want something with John Jones on it so I can get excited. And then Amanda Hebos did her damn thing. Cody versus Jones. I had the under on that fight in a different parlay that already hit the road with Marquez. So I was like, no, everybody thinks it's going to be under because Cody Glassgen and Trevin Jones also like to get things done quickly. So I was like, this is definitely over. Do not forget these guys are still 125 pounds and it's hard to knock each other out. And yeah, the rest of them were great. Neil versus Shavkat got beautiful odds on that because Shavkat was such a big favorite and finishes everybody. Yeah.
What did you bet on Mana live? Because you sent that to me, and I was actually agreeing with you. Mana was one that I was like, this kid could definitely win, but man, he was really up against it all. If you tell me I can kick a guy in the nuts twice and poke him in the eyes once before the fight starts, you can take as many damn points away as you want. Take 5 away if I get to do that, because I'm finishing him after that. But it's like, I really think that to me, it was on Herb Dean to take that second point. And
I agree.
He knew it too, because when you go up and talk to somebody in that tone of voice and that way he was saying, and he goes, listen, don't let it happen again. It's like, you know what you're doing here, because you if it's an easy decision, it should sound easy in your voice. But if it's a hard decision, it shouldn't be a hard decision. It should be a point.
Herb Dean was out of his gourd, dude. He let the Shavkat fight without a mouthpiece for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. And then he didn't even know it was him. He was like, is it you? Let me see your mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, it is you. Oh, okay.
And Rogan was the one who pointed it out, and he heard Rogan say it.
Mm-hmm.
So where it was,
it took like John Anik standing up like Jake Gyllenhaal was fighting. I've never seen the guys get so energetic for that little Jake Gyllenhaal thing that happened during the thing. They were up there yelling and screaming. Megan O'Leary was at the desk. I didn't know what was going on.
And, you know, Joe Selecki's coming on the show next week, and he's no friend of Herb Dean, so I can't wait to hear what he has to say about this.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he's coming on next week. So let's go through it a little bit, guys. Alex, he was, right off the bat with the short notice guy, Loic. But to be honest with you, that fight soured me a little bit. I kind of felt like Rybovic's had a shot to win that fight, and maybe you could have given it to him. But a couple bad positions, couple bad takedowns, kind of made it easy for the judges to give it to Loic. Farad, again, Basharat, he looked really, really, really good against DeMonsta, but the line, right? Like DeMonsta had a lot of really good moments in that fight, right? But it just came down to a couple sequences, a couple minutes of control time that really put it in Farad's favor.
DeMon looked amazing. I can't wait to watch him fight again.
I hope he gets another shot. For me, Tabitha Ricci, though, amazing work. I mean, just amazing. Love Tabitha Ricci. Penne fought like an absolute dunce in there, sitting on her butt, trying to invite her to the ground. It's like, I've said it for years. When it comes to the way that you utilize your reach advantage, Jessica Penne might be the worst of all time. She's got these long arms that she keeps like this, and is just never keeping people on the end of a jab. It's always just sloppy as all get out. Saman versus Mana, what can we say? Obvious. I mean, we can all kind of talk about all these. I just want to go through the card real quick. But Cameron Simon, that was piss poor, pathetic performance of the week. Triple P certified as piss poor and pathetic because
it's bad. You're
kicking people in the nuts, you're poking them in the eyes. You're 21 years old. You look like Ian Gary. Point off for that too. I mean, it was bad. It was bad, and that leads me into the Ian Gary situation again. By the end of that one, I was stewing mad. I was sitting there, and I know you're watching this, Miss Machado. I know you're watching this, but I was sitting there thinking got dropped. I was up here. I'm high. I'm high. I'm like, oh yes, he's getting beat on. And I had just got done telling the Discord that this was a absolute gift wrapped opponent for him. It's like, dude, when you're coming in a -800 favorite, how are you not going to sit there and say you're getting the Paddy Pimblett treatment? You're getting the the Sugar Sean treatment. Like, you're getting in these opponents that haven't fought in 2 years, that come from a country that's never won a world title in the men's division. You know what I mean? It's like, and communism. When you're coming from a communist country, I really think it's harder to be a champion when you're from a communist country, because you are put down by your government so much that how could you feel like a winner? How could you feel like a champion? When you are an American, you can say, fuck my government, fuck everybody, I'm going to make it on my own, I'm going to pull myself up by my bootstraps, no matter where you are, no matter what your station is. When you're in a communist country, I feel like there's always this governor in your brain. There's always like this thing. Like, he had so much success against Ian Gary, and then he absolutely wilted. You know what I mean? It's like, and also he had opportunities to go for the kill. He had opportunities to knee Ian Gary in the head, and he gave him a little sparring knee. He didn't take that head off with that knee like he should have, like he would have if he had the killer instinct that comes from being able to, rise up against, your government, at least metaphorically, or at least in a, ethereal sense, right? But when you always got the boot of China on you, I feel like we're not gonna see many Chinese champions unless they come to America, because you got to escape that communist grip. So that's my thoughts on the Song Gary fight. By the end of it, he got to sit there and do his $1 billion strut. He got to sit there and talk to Joe Rogan. He got to win money. He got to overcome adversity. Overall, I'm sitting there drinking beer on my couch. So, like, hats off to fucking Ian Gary.
But you know what you're doing? Drinking beer on your couch with his wife in your DMs. And,
she blocked me at this point now. There's no hope for even to get her back in the DMs now.
But you'll always have that.
Dude.
Huh?
She even deleted those comments. Thank God I screenshotted those comments where she was coming at me in those comments. And I have those screenshots to this day. So, but yeah, she deleted them. They're gone now.
I'm the only one allowed to follow the Machado Gary family.
Yeah. And
I forget what I did. I don't even know what I did.
And listen, here's the thing. I'm jealous of Ian Gary's, his ability to like fight in the UFC, win a fight, and have Joe Rogan like talk to him in the ring. Like, that's like an enviable position to be in. Anybody can admit that. And I think, I'm ready to let bygones be bygones. I just have one request. I just want them to put the Machado on the shorts. Like, I want it to say Machado Gary on the shorts. I think that's fair and reasonable.
Fair.
If you're going to be a feminist and you're going to take your wife's last name or whatever, I don't even know the situation, but I'm just saying if that's what we're going to do here, it should be on the shorts. I propose we put it on the butt.
Okay. Well, I think it's an ode to old school jiu-jitsu guys. Like Vitor Belfort came out as Vitor Gracie back in the day.
They talked about it on the broadcast. It was something like his I'm gonna get in trouble. His wife had a kid with someone else or something, and now it's on me.
No. Okay, now I remember. Hey, that's a beautiful reason.
And so he wanted his newfound son to feel like comfortable or something by keeping the last name of the woman.
Exactly, and some people would have the mentality like, no, I'm here now, I'm conquering, I'm changing your little last name to mine. You know what I mean? Some people would have the mentality, but Ian doesn't, and that's great. I'm all for it. So I just think, like, in the nature of keeping everybody comfortable, let's just put Machado on the butt, like right on his butt. You know what I mean?
I like that.
I'm with it. Why not?
Is the ex's last name Machado?
No, not the ex. I think his wife, right?
Okay. I'm just trying to get all the facts here.
Me too.
But I've already apologized and admitted that I am jealous of Ian Gary, and I think a lot of people.
It's big of you.
I think a lot of people should be jealous because it's like if you're a cutie pie in the UFC, or you have a silly accent or a weird haircut, they will give you easy opponents who come from countries that never win titles, who you're a -800 favorite against, and that's an enviable position to be in for anybody.
And if you have both a silly accent and a silly haircut, then they give you double easy fights.
Bingo, Patty. You gotta have the face of a porcelain doll. Like, you have to have like your face has to look like a doll that came to life and grew up. And you know what I mean? Like, then you can get these matches. Like, even Sugar Sean, like he's the Bratz doll. He's the Bratz doll. You see what I'm saying? That's the Barbies. But at least Sean beat up Petr Yan, unanimous decision.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I mean, that's at least something. And Petr Yan's fighting this weekend. We're going to get into all that. Now that there's only a couple more things we have to hate on here before we can actually break down the card.
Julian Martinez.
Well, Darren Till cut from the UFC. Thank God. Just wanted to make sure we talk about that. But he came out and said, "You can't fire me because I quit." and then he said, "And I'm only quitting because I want to." And paraphrasing here, he's like, "I'm only quitting because I want to be able to do special therapies or whatever it was." It's like hilarious.
Yeah,
it's like,
most likely.
I'm not quitting. The UFC is not cutting me. I'm leaving because I keep losing and I need to get on special salt, special juice. Okay, and then I'll come back. And he said in his interview, they said we don't make habits of bringing guys back to the UFC. He's like, you'll change your mind. You'll change your mind when you see Uber Till coming back looking like Alistair Overeem circa 2013. You're gonna change your mind. You know, after I go get knocked out by Jake Paul, you won't take me back. Hold my beer. Hold my lager, lad. Dude, yeah, that's so crazy. And then he immediately just goes into I should fight Jake Paul. It's like, Jake Paul just lost to Tommy Fury. You really think he's gonna get in there with fucking you? No. You know what I mean? It's not like you're out there getting knocked out in your fights, Darren. You're getting choked out and shit. You know, you should have gotten your ass knocked out by Brunson. Then you could have fucking come out here and fought Jake Paul. But you're actually a decent striker. You know, he ain't gonna fight you. And if he does, he'll probably knock him out, to be honest, because he already knocked out Woodley, who outstruck.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking too. I was thinking that's
boxing
easy,
math.
That's easy money for Jake Paul.
But Darren Till's silly. Wonder Boy's even sillier. He gets into a Twitter spat with Rachmanov. He says something to the tune of Rachmanov's said something like, "I thought I was a grappler," because he spent most of that fight, the whole fight, striking. And it's just so disgusting. Wonder Boy's literally actually responds and he says, instead of just being like, "Hey, yeah, well, good fight, man. Maybe we'll see each other in the future," he's still making cases to not fight him based on the fact that he will easily beat him. He's like, well, I don't know, man. You went for 3 takedowns and didn't, and so I wouldn't really say that makes you a grappler. Plus, you won by submission. And it's like, dude, it was a slobber knocker slugfest for 3 rounds. First of all, second of all, Wonder Boy made the biggest mistake by saying the quiet part out loud, which is, "I am not that good and will lose to anybody who can grapple better than me." So he said this, and because he's such a little darling of the fans, he's able to get away with shit like this, where the fans go, "Well, no, he's doing it for us. He really, really wants to just put on exciting fights." Yeah, that's it, guys. You know what his most exciting fight to me was? When he got fucking knocked out by Anthony Pettis. That was his most exciting fight to me. So you want to put on exciting fights, Wonder Boy, get in there and go get knocked out again. That was super exciting. That's not what he wants, guys. He wants winnable fights. He wants a little Michael Bisping situation where he ends up skirting the title somehow at 50 years old. He's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But he deserves to get picked up and slammed on his head by Rachmanov, and his little chicken neck squeezed off by Rachmanov. He really does deserve that. That is what should happen. And that's what Rachmanov deserves. Wonder Boy has gotten multiple title shot opportunities. He's gotten to sit there and be little Mr. Cutie Pie all his career, and now he's trying to dodge up-and-coming talent.
Luke, what's your problem with long, tall, blonde guys?
You know who didn't do that? Nate Diaz, who's also 50 years old, who's also not that good against grapplers, who also is a fan favorite who wants to put on exciting fights way more than your ass. He said yes to Hamzat Chimaev. He said yes to Leon Edwards. He said yes to fucking everybody. Little Anthony, you knocked your ass out. Get with the Nate Diaz mindset, dude. And you're not fighting Nate or Nick Diaz either, because I know that's you're not fighting either. You're not fighting them. You're fucking fighting Rachmanov. It's Rachmanov versus Wonder Boy. That's it. I want to see. And when Rachmanov knocks him out cold, it'll be on the feet. By the way, on the feet. They could go slap boxing. They could go punch for punch, slap, power slap, and Rachmanov will be the one standing when the dust settles. Trust me on that. Compare their heads. Rachmanov's head's 3 times the size of Wonder Boy's. I want them to do left way and watch him just turn him into a pink mist like he's on Game of Thrones. Fucking, what's his name in Game of Thrones? The Mountain. I mean, that would really be the outcome. Wonder Boy sucks. And the fact that he said the quiet part out loud, which is, "I don't want to fight a grappler," but now he's getting detailed with it. He's like, "Well, I don't know, Rachmanov. I'm looking at these stats here, and it says that you shot 3 takedowns. A little too many for me." It's like, we're peeling the stats back now? Now we're peeling back the stats? We're going, well, do you give me your application? I'll see. It's like, Wonder Boy, just go fight kickboxing. Why don't you just go fight kickboxing?
It's true. He doesn't want any part of actual mixed martial arts, so kickboxing it is. Boxing it is. Why not just box?
Another one for Jake Paul. Jake Paul, please knock Wonderboy out. I will fucking. I'll get a Jake Paul tattoo if he knocks Wonderboy out for me. That would be the best thing in my life. I want him to knock Wonderboy out so bad. Wonderboy wakes up and is bitter and mad and is just not a nice guy anymore. And it's like the kids are coming up. Wonderboy, can I have your? He's like, get away from me! The bus does not pick the kids up anymore. The bus never comes. The kids are all waiting. He's just home, and his dad's like, "Come on, Steve's like, Dad, I've had enough of your shit. I'm done. I'm done being the nice guy." Does an about face heel turn at 50 years of age with gray hair and just comes back like Tony Ferguson, just snarling at everybody. Bitter and mad as hell and spinning. Everything's spinning on him and Tony, dude. They're like, you know what I mean? They're just both like receding. It's like they're both like when they get hit with the dart in Star Wars and they just start shriveling up. It's like they're both getting their life force sucked out. They're like imploding. You know what I mean?
Man,
dude, everybody.
Tony Ferguson did deserve that stray shot.
So Tony Ferguson caught a stray bullet there, but I don't care. I don't care. I love Tony, but he had to catch that stray. You know, any fighter in the UFC who's balding or has gray hair is catching the bullet. Okay. I was watching the Mike Malott fight against Johan Lionesi, and these other two guys go, I don't know, this other guy looks pretty tough. I go, yeah, dude, but they're the same age, and one guy is balding, and the other guy has a full, thick head of hair. I'm like, who do you think's going to win? He's like, why does that matter? I said, he's already losing a fight with his hair.
and the testosterone portion of it.
That's the bigger reason is that, like, you know, you knock a guy out a few times, he starts to go bald, you know?
Scientifically proven.
Head injury. All right, guys, we're 30 minutes in. We've already completely gotten this channel removed from YouTube and canceled by this point. I'm gonna have to edit that earlier stuff I said, but we it's okay. We are not ever gonna be Mr. Beast. That was my dream, you know. But if we work hard, we could probably get to like somewhere in the neighborhood of like, I mean,
1,500 subscribers.
What?
1,500 subscribers.
If we grind it out for 3 more years, I think we can get somewhere around 3,000 subscribers based on our current rate. All right. Again, guys, send the channel to your friends. And if you're in the Patreon, with getting that extra episode a week, getting that direct interaction, getting that open bets sheet that Alex turned a $50 bet to $650 or something last Saturday. If you're in the Patreon, I want you to cancel your Patreon membership right now. Okay. I want you to cancel it right now. And I want you to sign up for 1 year. Okay. If you're a monthly member, you are missing out on a discount, a one-time charge. Think about this. If your credit card has the availability, do the year, you're saving money. Okay. If it doesn't have the availability, I want you to unsubscribe right now. I do not want people who don't have the money to be in the Patreon. So if you don't have the availability to take the whole hit for the year charge, then you need to unsubscribe. If you do, you need to unsubscribe and you need to sign up for the full year. Okay. So that's the decision tree. You know, it's not an excuse. Being broke is not an excuse. Okay. If you're spending money gambling, you have our money too. So bring the money to us first. Then we'll all go out and gamble once we all know we have a roof over our damn heads. Okay.
I just won you 75 straight months of the Perfect Parlay Pursuit this weekend. And you're telling me you can't separate yourself from $10.
And if you're not tailing Alex and you're in the Patreon, you're missing out on some of the value because Alex has a lot fewer shots on board than me. And it's a lot easier to tail him than it is to tail, you know, people who get a little crazier in there. So
yeah, Luke's got a bingo sheet.
I got a bingo sheet over there. But anyway, all right, let's move on. We got a big 14 fight card to break down. Let's get into it. Let's do it right now. Anything else anybody wants to say? I mean, I got the John Jones shirt on.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
John Jones picture. Alexa Grasso. Guys, I came on here, I said Alexa Grasso. I also came on here, I said Juliana Pena. That's 2 underdogs this calendar year that I was able to predict for you. I think Juliana was end of last year. Either way, 2 fucking underdogs that I was able to predict for you in women's MMA. When are you going to learn? When are you going to learn? Okay, that this is all marketing. That there is no GOAT. There is no greatest of all time. There is no untouchable. There is no nobody who can lose. Every single person can get beat on any night. And if they give you an outsized, outstretched, completely blown out line like that, you gotta take a look and go, are most people who are fans of MMA usually right about things, or is every single card a new opportunity for us to all go, I can't believe that happened. That was so surprising. Oh shit. Yeah, you're easily fucking wrong, right? So think about it. Sometimes it's as easy as that. Sometimes it's as easy as, no one's that much of a favorite, so I'm going the other way, except Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel is always that much of a favorite. But again, it's like, even Bo, if you didn't take a little sprinkle on Jamie Pickett, you're crazy. And, I gotta address Bruce. Bruce comments, he says, I was 13 out of 14 on the night. It's like, well, yeah, Bruce, every single favorite won. Every square better in the world went 14 out of 14 last night, except they didn't because Valentina won or lost. So, yeah, you're in the same boat as everybody else. You all thought everybody who was favored to win was going to win. Same thing Vegas told you. But here's the thing. Bruce told me that he was going to win $460 if it was not for the upset by Grasso. But Grasso was a plus 600 favorite. Bruce, you could have just bet 50 on Grasso. Then you would have won 300 if she won. Or if it advanced, you would have been in the money for your other parlay to hit. So it's like, guys, we got to win money here. We got to win money. We got to be smart. We can't lose money. And I'm talking to myself because I lost money too. But I shouldn't have. And it was in, I'm going to enroll in Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm going to roll in a nice program. And
that doesn't sound very anonymous if you just brought it up.
Because I'm just going to work the steps, guys. I'm just going to work the 12 steps. Okay. And maybe by next week I will win a bet because there's no reason I should be getting drunk and letting my nerves and my anxieties and my, it's really just my history, guys. If you understand, I come into this sport, a Chuck Liddell fan. Chuck Liddell didn't win a single fight when I became a fan of Chuck Liddell. I was watching UFC Unleashed. I was watching old fucking Chuck Liddell fights. And I'm like, I can't wait to see this guy fight. I'm really excited about all these fights. I've been watching this guy. Who's his next fight? Rashad Evans. Okay. It was horrible. It was horrible. Okay. All the guys I liked, BJ Penn, just getting absolutely smacked up by Yair Rodriguez. Like all of the guys I like meet an untimely end. It was Nate Diaz that was the one that did not meet that untimely end. But there's still Jake Paul lingering in the fucking distance, ready to fucking be the Grim Reaper for Nate Diaz still, I guess. I don't think that's going to happen, but like I said, guys, he did it to Anderson Silva. Who would I fucking pick to go to war more, Silva or Nate Diaz? I'd pick Silva, and he fucking got dropped by Jake Paul. So my point is, I'm a victim. I'm a victim of just my favorite fighters getting beat up all the time, knocked out, and just destroyed. And it's made me a mean, bitter person. And sometimes I reflect on all of those times where I saw all my favorite fighters just get the shit kicked out of them. And I wanted them to win so bad. And I was like, looking at John Jones come in, looking like Jamal Hill with a pot belly, not looking like himself, man. And it's been 3 years. And I'm just like, I'm like, this is not, I was getting a sick feeling all day, guys. So that's why I did what I did. And I'm sorry. I apologize. John, I'm with you all the way. I only did that because I love you. And I'm glad Cyril lost. I'm glad I lost the money. I'm glad you won. And I hope you forgive me for betting against you, John. Okay. So I think that's enough. I think we can move on now. Anything you guys want to say?
Yeah, you've talked for the last 15 fucking minutes.
I'll come back, but the floor is yours.
Very pissed about Julia Marquez. Now that we're fucking 6 fights through the recap. Jeez Louise. Amanda Hebas got it done. Dricus Duplessis, Dan, that knockout. Crazy.
Dude, we do got to talk about that knockout, but I just want to add one thing about Amanda Hebas. She has the absolute worst head movement, footwork, striking at all. She has the worst striking in the history of the UFC. There's nobody who looks sillier than her out there. She looks like a wacky waving inflatable arm filling tube, man. There's no rhyme or reason to what she does. The only reason that she had any success with it is because her opponent got tired, and so did she. In the third round, she was having success, or the second or third, she was having success striking because she tired herself out doing all this unnecessary movement the whole time, and then she was too tired to do the unnecessary movement, so it just was kind of flowing. It was fundamental. And her opponent was too tired because she's Viviana Araujo and is built like fucking Sean Shirk. So she was just tired of her bladder muscles. So her ass slowed down too. So the striking was working a little bit better. But she's going to go, man, this striking's really working. And it's like, no, it's not. Like, get the ground, grapple. What the fuck? Her and fucking Ronda Rousey and Mackenzie Dern. Oh, Mackenzie Dern. It's like Amanda Hebas and Mackenzie Dern are having a competition for who is the best at jiu-jitsu and the silliest striker, bar none, in the UFC. It's hilarious. All right, I got it.
Dan, what do you think about the DDP knockout?
Oh man, that was brutal. He's already pretty much knocked out, or at least he's back down on the ground.
What was going on?
Right off the canvas. Holy crap!
What was going on there? I thought he was out. Like the way his arms were up, like I didn't know what got through, or if he was just taking a siesta during the fight. I didn't know what was happening. But then DDP just rains hell from the top, and I don't remember what ref that was, but.
Me neither.
Man. You make his boy throw in the towel with 1 second left because that fight should have been stopped 7 ways to Sunday. And that was crazy. And it was weird to just see him like laying there. It was the weirdest thing in the world. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah, DDP was like middle school bullies. Bah! On that last one. He just let it all out. But honestly, he sucks. He's not that good. I can't wait to fade him on his next fight. The next level up from Derek Brunson, some guy within the top 10 who's not 40 is going to kick DDP's ass. He is sloppy as all hell, gets super tired. I don't buy the BS that he's not tired. It's just the way he breathes through his nose or out his mouth or whatever it is. No, you're fucking tired. You're getting sloppy. You will be knocked out your next fight. Guaranteed.
What does Israel Adesanya do to him? What does Sean Strickland do to him? What does Alex Pereira do to him? All the guys at the top of this division knock him out. I mean, he almost gets knocked out every fight, I feel like, by guys who aren't really known as knockout artists. Yeah,
he's literally reached the highest he can in the middleweight division. Any step up, he's done for.
It's funny. He's a lot like Darren Till.
No, he's not. Listen, first of all, Darren Till has absolutely no heart, and that's why he tapped out in the 3rd round against DDP. DDP lost the 2nd round bad to Darren Till after completely gassing himself out in the 1st round. But what I think DDP has that's unique is this kind of energy exertion and recuperation thing going where you can't, he gasses out, but then he comes back. Like he's able to recover. You know what I mean? Even when he goes, I kind of like it. He goes blitzkrieg and then he has nothing left, but his opponent also kind of doesn't. He banks a little bit of recovery time and then he finishes. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a strategy, and I get what he's saying. But yeah, I didn't like how easily he got taken down in the 1st by Brunson. I think, like you guys said, the Hamzat Chimaevs, of the world are gonna have a field day with that shit and really beat the shit out of him on the ground. But the two you mentioned, Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, I think he can compete with both those guys, man. The only person who has a better physique than DDP is Jake Gyllenhaal. So I think you know where I'm going with it.
He's injected his arsenal.
It's like DDP is a wide body, you know what I mean? He's like William Knight out there. He's fucking wide, and it's it's suspicious. But what I'm saying is, I love it, and I love the dedication, and But also, Dan, he's flying in from South Africa all the time. He doesn't have the best jet lag kind of situation going.
Well, move. You're a professional fighter. Yeah. Move somewhere with a good gym where you don't have to travel 24 hours.
You need to get somewhere. Dan, don't move somewhere. You move to the United States of America, the fight capital of the world.
Move to Las Vegas or you move to Coconut Creek.
Move to Mexico. At least move into North America. Move to Canada. Who cares?
Yeah, no, I feel that. But it was great that Brunson's corner threw in the towel. I had DDP. I had him by knockout. So,
Luke, I want you to repent for your sins.
What are my sins?
You were so high on Trevin Jones and to watch Cody No-Jaw go out there and fucking hot dog like he's...
I will repent.
Like he's Muhammad Ali, going crazy when this is his first win in 7 fights. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do here.
I know what to do.
What?
Cut Trevin 5-star Jones. No one is a bigger Trevin Jones guy than me. I love Guam. I hope one day to possibly even move to Guam. I want to retire in Guam, but I cannot support Trevin Jones anymore. I'm sorry, Trevin. I've supported you through all your losses so far. I've been supporting Trevin since we first started this show. I have always supported him. I'm shouting him out on Instagram. I'm liking his pictures. I'm commenting. I comment 5 stars. I go the 5-star emoji. I go star. I'm like, let's go, champ. Let's go 5-star. I always am the biggest supporter of Trevin Jones. And for him to go out there and put forth William Knight level numbers, Francis Ngannou versus Derek Brunson level or Derek Lewis level numbers, Carla Esparza versus Rose Namajunas level numbers. I mean, it was you're talking like you said, Alex. It's Cody No Chin, right? That's who it is. Well, I don't necessarily think that Cody Garbrandt is that easy to knock out, but I just think that that's what you should be thinking if you're fighting him. If you're fighting him, I think you should be thinking that. I think you should be thinking, I need to just get in there and get this guy. And it's his biggest opportunity. A John Jones card, packed arena, big name. That was Trevin's fucking opportunity that he didn't really deserve based on his recent performances, and he fucking blew it. and he needs to go think about what he's done in Bellator or the PFL, because that's not okay. Not okay where I come from, to blow an opportunity like that when they give you a big name. That's like Kevin Holland losing to Wonder Boy. Cut Kevin Holland, cut Trevin Jones. I'm sorry. Let him go think about what they've done, because Kevin Holland, especially, way too Hollywood right now. And he needs to realize, like, when they put you on the top of the card against a guy who's not going to wrestle you, and he's 55 years old with gray hair, and you get beat by him, and he broke his hand and you broke your hand, and you quit on your stool, no mas, you're cut from the UFC. That's Max Roscoff shit. It's Max Roscoff shit, right? We cut Max Roscoff for that. Cut Kevin Holland for that. I still am on that. Yeah. What else?
Bo Nickel, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Bo Nickel. Amazing. I told everybody who asked me for just a guaranteed lock bet, I said Bo Nickel round 1. I said Bo Nickel by finish. I said Bo Nickel round 1. Only wish that he was able to get it done by KO. I really think he should work on, like, his ground and pound finishes. Doesn't always need to be so clean, so technical. It doesn't always need to be minus 115 by submission, man. Get us a little plus 300 action, a little plus 230 action on that by knockout. But yeah,
he would say that minus 1,500 is a discount.
And you know what's funny, man? We got to bring this up maybe when Joe comes on the podcast, because we know he knows Jamie Pickett, but there's a big scuttlebutt now about Jamie Pickett wants to get it turned into a no contest because he got kicked in the nuts, right? That's what he's saying. Man, that is not cool to try to do somebody, Jamie. If anything, call for a rematch, but to call for a no contest, that's a little crazy. If he's not willing to run it back, then just move on, because that's outlandish. It's insane. Have some respect.
Hell
For
yeah.
your opponent.
Dan, what did you think of the performance? I know you don't know much about
Oh, please. I've been to Penn State multiple times in the past year. I've met Bo. Bo and I are on good terms. I think he's a hell of a fighter. I think, dude, throw him into a big fight soon. I don't want to see him, gradually go up, take the Sean O'Malley route. He's ready now. Give him a big fight. Give him a top 15 guy at least, and let's have some fun with the kid. By the way, took no damage, so just get right in.
Jamie, that's a great. Jamie Pickett is way better than any of O'Malley's first few opponents, because he has a win in the UFC. You know what I mean? That's all it takes, right? He's way better than Ian Gary's opponents, who don't have wins. Some of them have wins in the UFC. That's not as bad, but you know what I'm saying. Paddy Pimblett's opponents, who, besides, Jordan does, yeah, and I guess Jordan Levitt did too, but
yeah.
Okay.
But I guess the next fight, this was a Triple P certified pick. I think we got this one wrong. Mateus Gamrot, Jalen Turner.
Yeah, well, Dan talked us into that one, but I don't think we got it wrong, actually. Like, when I watched that fight, I think Jalen Turner won the fight. I think he, in not as profound a way as that first fight we saw, where the undefeated guy, Rebovic, either way, I'm just trying to say, Jalen Turner looked really good in that fight. It was really just like him allowing the distance to get closed a little bit and not being all in those situations. Like when you got a guy who's that tiny coming in and he wants to take you down, Jalen Turner was still really straight up, upper body kind of stuff, even throwing like kicks and knees sometimes. And it's like, dude, we gotta be the tarantula here, We gotta be long. We can't be letting this shorter guy get in on you like that. Like, it's just not gonna work. So, aesthetically, he won parts of the fight that allowed the judges to think he won the entire fight. So, not good.
Shavkat Rakhmonov, absolutely sensational.
Yeah. Fight of the night, right? Jeff Neal. I thought Jeff Neal also sensational. Gotta, not throw him to the wayside. See, my thing, if I could just briefly talk about my losses here, I thought I had this all played out, right? As far as my parlays, you get your parlay pillars, your Ricci's, and your Basharats, right? And your Garys. And then you pepper in some of these dogs, because one dog's going to hit, right? It's going to be Neal. It's going to be Martinez. It's going to be, I didn't even do Grasso. That's how stupid I was. I put in Shevchenko as one of the parlays, but again, didn't even get to that point. No dogs hit, as we all know, except for the one at the very end. Man, Vegas, I think here's my big takeaway from the whole card is that on a big card like this, Vegas is very honed in. So play the favorites. I would say it seems like they have a really, really good handle on these big cards. So just something to keep in mind there.
Play the hits. It's the most data. They've the most study on all these people. They fought in the UFC tens of 15s of 20s of times. It's a lot easier for them to make picks like that than when we got a debutant coming in.
At least have one parlay where it's very like heavy on the favorites.
What you have, and also what you have to consider is it's kind of like a stock market or a pressure balloon, right? Where like, okay, so as more and more favorites win throughout the night, even though they're not correlated, you do know that Vegas is having there is sort of like an expectation that people are going to be parlaying a lot of heavy favorites, right? So just because somebody's a big heavy favorite and you go, oh, they're such a big favorite, Vegas would never want them to lose. That's not true because people put all that money on them. The line is moved by the public so that Vegas can ensure they don't lose money, guys. Okay. When they set the line, it's done in such a way where if money comes in on one guy, the line moves. So then it becomes more enticing to get his opponent. So then people put money on the opponent, right? So point is, you got to really understand kind of like the 5D chess of it all. Some lines are trap lines. You know what I mean? Some of these lines are like, oh yeah, like Vegas is going to set this person as a slight dog to grab you in because you wouldn't bet them if they were a slight favorite. Then it'll move them to a slight favorite. Now people are going to start betting them because they see the way the money's going. And then all of a sudden it's like that guy was supposed to be the dog the whole time. But if they had set it as a big dog, people would have perceived them as a big dog and it wouldn't have come in as much money. So there's a way of kind of like setting these little trap lines, you know what I mean, for people. They know what people bet too. That's what you have to remember. They know what numbers people like to bet line-wise. You know what I mean? They get all that data too. So it's really, really tough to compete against the sports book these days. You have to just know what's going to happen and be comfortable with whatever return you're going to get. And long-term, you'll still lose money. So enjoy it. Let's get into it this week, guys. We talked about.
I did bet on Grasso. I hedged on Grasso. I made a pretty penny on that as well. Thank you, Luke. I tailed a lot of your picks during this fight. The Trevin Jones one, I started to get more in love with Trevin Jones as it started coming up. And I really had a feeling that you were going to get a perfect parlay, and that's probably why you lost so much.
Yeah. Well, I really had a feeling that Rakhmonov for the first time in his career was going to win by decision. And my thought with that was, okay, Jeff Neal didn't do the full weight cut. Either he's injured and he's going to get finished really quick, or he's now has more energy and can go further, right? And I was like, okay, got it. And then I heard reports that it was just strategic, like miss, like he did it on purpose. Interesting. So I was like, yeah, Jeff Neal's coming here to compete. He thinks he can win. If he thinks he can win, then he's probably going to impress, but he's going to lose a decision, right? I knew it. I just saw it in my mind's eye. But that last fucking little choke he got him in, dude, that was so crazy, dude. 43 seconds away from plus 500, or maybe it was plus 330, somewhere in that range, plus 330 to plus 500. Shavkat by decision play, dude.
That was like a middle school bully tactic where they just grip you up like that, and they're like, all right, you're not going anywhere, kid. Like he really clamped down.
I mean, he, at the end of the day, if you close the door, you know what I mean? If there's no room, the only reason that's not a good choke is because there's room to kind of wiggle and escape. But if you just are, if they're too tired to peel it off and you're strong enough to keep it closed, then you go and
the reverse hook, beautiful against the cage. Yeah, the reverse hook, how he like kind of stepped in and wrapped around the one leg just to get like a little bit more leverage. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, because it's like a lot of the ways that a lot of the things you do in a chokey to make a choke, like, in position for the choke, you got somebody's back, you throw, the legs in and you're sucking their hips in. Well, that's creating the space necessary for their neck to hike up so you can get in there. It's like all kind of connected to that. But really the bottom line is just get the fucking hand around the neck. It's like everything else is just with in mind,
like your former sensei Marcelo Garcia, he always says, "Get your arms in first. Fuck the hooks." Right?
I don't know. I don't speak
to keep it back.
A lot of what he was saying, I didn't. Okay, let's get into the next week's card. Basically, John Jones.
You got to give John Jones his fucking flowers first, dude. That was amazing. He absolutely steamrolled him. You're talking about all these people who are big favorites who are supposed to perform when they're big favorites. Somehow the line got messed up here. John Jones started as a dog, which made you think like maybe Vegas is begging you to take him and wants him to lose in reality, because you're going to lose the line. But then just goes in there and makes it look so easy. And a guy that gave Francis Ngannou all hell, a guy who gave Tai Tuivasa all hell, a guy who's been there doing that. And the only fight he ever lost before that was Francis. And it was a hard fight where they both had their moments. That was sensational. 2 minutes, submission. I didn't even think that he had the guillotine in whatsoever. And then all of a sudden I see Francis is like wincing.
Real.
And that is an awkward spot in the cage, but that was awesome. And like you said, John Jones came in a little pudgy, a little heavy, and it did make everybody worry, but got to worry also the hand that Gane had. I think the real thing that came into play here is like the great Chael P said, I just think that Gane was a little bit scared of John. He had that aura. It wasn't just another fighter who's 35 years old weighing in at heavyweight for the first time. It was the greatest to ever do it. And he had that whole aura about him that made Gane really, really frightened.
I think it's that combined with the fact that Gane is happy to be there. Like he said multiple times in the lead up that, if my UFC career ended today, I'd be really happy. Like I've accomplished way more than I ever thought I was going to, blah, blah, blah. So I think when you compare that mentality to a mentality like John Jones is, where he's still trying to beat it into everybody said that he's the greatest of all time. He's still trying to create new challenges, new accomplishments. That's the winner's champions mentality. Whereas Gane, he's just too, you need, it's like, guys, do you think every fighter wants to have a chip on their shoulder and wants to be super like focused and lasered in because it's like fun? No, it's because it's what works. It helps to lead your career to success if you fucking care and focus and make it your everything. If you're like, I like to play FIFA and everything's cool. Okay, I'm sure that's really comfortable and relaxing for you to spend your time doing that. That's why you'll lose. That's why you're weak. That's why you're not John Jones, who spends his time watching your ass. You know what I mean?
If you watch the UFC Embedded while John Jones is sitting in a dark room, laser focused, watching the same fight he's watched 70 times already in the lead up again, and realizing all the little different things he does. And he was talking about it in the post or in the pre-fight press conference. He was, when he's in this position, I know he likes to do certain things. When he's in that, when he's in orthodox stance and southpaw, he throws different stuff. And I know the way he likes to move, and he doesn't really do a lot of blocking. He does a lot of running away, French. But like it pans over to Gane's side of things, and he's sitting there playing FIFA with the boys, having a good time, having
winning 6-0. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
not challenging yourself.
Yes, you're not even playing. You're not even playing your friend who's actually good at FIFA. You're like, oh, this would be good for the embedded. Yeah, come over here, play the FIFA.
Yeah, no, it's real. It's a cancerous mentality. John Jones has an inspirational mentality. I'm trying to improve my life. I'm trying to live a sober existence. And if John can do it, and we know how much John likes to party. He went to the nightclub. He came home afterwards. If he can do it, I can do it.
But did you know John Jones took an L that night? It wasn't an undefeated night for John Jones. He lost a push-up contest to the guy with no legs, the fighter with no legs.
Really?
Did you see this?
No.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the guy's walking on his hands all day. Of course he could beat John Jones in a push-up contest, especially with the belly now. Like, this guy's lifting up 30 pounds while John Jones is sitting there put on 30 extra pounds that he's used to walking around in, and now he's pushed himself up against a guy who weighs 48 and only walks on his hands all day. Like, obviously he's going to lose that one, but it was still cool to see John Jones give him a bunch of respect. John Jones is the man.
I will say, weird thing with the foot toe issue, the tape on the foot, and then he goes out and says that he tapes his foot because of the fight with Chael Sonnen. And I was like, for a guy who knows as much as he does about Chael Sonnen and what Chael likes to do and how he likes to twist stories and narratives, you really gave him so much ammunition when you said that since that fight, you get excruciating pain in that toe, and to this day, you still have to tape it. It's like, John did.
And John fell victim to the same thing that everybody who fights me has. They'll never be the same again.
Yeah, exactly. He wrote it for him. He wrote it. Oh, man. Chael's outro music at one point was like, it was like, John Jones broke a toe and had to quit. It's like, goes through all his fights. And it was like, and basically just saying how everybody lost to him. So yeah, John Jones, greatest of all time. John Jones came into here. I've been a fan of John Jones since way before he was a champion. I remember like my wrestling coach knowing who John was as a wrestling competitor and us talking about him way back in the day. I remember when John Jones fought Ryan Bader, and when he fought Vladimir Matyushenko on the prelims.
Who our wrestling coach wrestled against.
Yes, and it's like I loved John Jones before anybody knew who he was or gave a shit about him, man. I loved John Jones. I knew he was going to be champion. And I just was so happy to see him succeed. I was so happy that he also was a gentleman to his wife and brought her front and center and gave her all sorts of proper attention. That was really gentlemanly, I thought. And, you know,
my girl was like, who was that just kissed him? Is that his wife or his fiance? And I was like, no, that can't be. It has to be just some random woman who just snuck a kiss in when he was saying hi to his family. And then we looked it up, and yeah, it did end up being.
It was. And that's, you know, that is, it's like, listen, guys, everybody makes mistakes. We all want to root against people, you know, turning it around. I'm not even saying John has turned it around, but at the end of the day, people have value, and you don't want to throw people out. You know what I mean? You want to use them up for all that they have. And if all you can use from them is that they had a really bad past and now they're able to do something positive, still something to use, guys. With that said, MMA Lock of the Night will be coming back on the show very soon. We talked in the DMs. I know he will be coming on the show very soon, but not very soon, just in due time. But I just meant, like, hey, perfect analogy, right? Somebody that Alex said, hey, let's not chew up and spit out and leave worthless this person, right? It's Christ's message, guys. So you got to live Jesus's message. It's simple as that. You know, it's not always convenient, but conviction is not always convenient. In fact, it oftentimes won't be convenient to stand for your convictions, to stand for what you know to be right, which is, you know, we all say we're against cancel culture, but who's the real person who's against cancel culture? It's Jesus Christ. Okay? Forgive everybody. Turn the other cheek and be nice, right? Okay, so we're going to be nice.
We've all seen the commercials. Jesus Christ was a refugee. Jesus Christ was this, that. Jesus loved everybody, love everybody. They beat it. They force-fed us that during every NFL game. It was great. I loved it. I thought it was going to be like some big movie. You know, it was like,
and it basically hits you with the got milk at the end, which is like, I like the commercial. How do I support it? Like, just say a prayer right now. Like, how do I give you my money? How do I say I agree? I'm like, so just buy any brand of milk. Like,
he had a gang. He had a gang of banshees traveling with him all the time. he was persecuted.
I'm like, does almond milk? Should I go with? I mean, you know, got milk. I'm like, how do I? Who's funding this?
I have no clue.
All of the farmers?
Big Pharma.
Big farm, big dairy farm. All right. Well, we just spent an hour breaking down the John Jones card. I mean, Jesus, like that's a lot of time. So let's get into the card. I mean, we got a really exciting main.
I think we forgot to break down one fight, Luke.
What was that?
And that was Jake Gyllenhaal versus Unpaid Extra.
Yeah, that was so crazy. Did you see the actual fight?
Yeah.
So
it was terrible.
Why can't they ever get it right? That there's never a fight in history, maybe some boxing matches, but never in MMA can a guy take multiple fucking haymakers and then recover and win. Like, it's not Rocky, dude. Like, if you got hit on the chin that clean 3 times, like Jake Gyllenhaal's character did, you're not coming back with a flying knee afterwards, dude. No one is. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, why can't they ever just get a fight to look good? Like, there's real fights that actually happened that got everybody off their feet, and we're like, what? But in a movie, they can never fucking do it without it looking fake as hell and corny.
Yeah, and I mean,
and then
the greatest part of that is Dana White. After in the post-fight press conference, they were asking him to make a comment about Jake's physique, and he said, you know, he's not USADA approved, which was your joke that you made the day before when they did the weigh-ins thing. It was awesome. I was like, oh, Luke and Dana, peas in a pod.
Well, I'll take it a step further. Hey, how about this, guys? Anybody who looks, here's Jake Gyllenhaal. He's in the room. We see him. Here he is. Anybody who looks like him, please step to the left. Anybody who doesn't, please step to the right. Everybody stepped to the left. Interesting. Except John Jones, for one. But it's like, stand Jake Gyllenhaal next to half these guys and go, why does his abs look like a dedicated athlete's abs? Jake, why don't you just fight, man? You look great, you know? It's like, do the math, guys.
What were you saying about the finish to the fight?
Driscus Duplessis, he should be on EPO, not whatever else, you know what I mean? Like, because that's what he needs more, cardio. He's in there fucking huffing and puffing with Derek Brunson. Derek Brunson's half dead in there, and he's huffing and puffing, and he's just like, it's like maybe you're, I don't know. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy they allowed Jake Gyllenhaal to go out there looking like that in that setting. It's like now we all have this, like, okay, there's what somebody who's clearly on steroids.
So, quick question: was the fight like? Did they like do that scripted fight in between the fights? And like,
I didn't see it until Instagram after. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't either. Like, did they do that for like all the people live in attendance? Was that why we had such a long break in between the prelims and the main card? I was like, I saw Luke, and I was like, yo, are you still watching Fluff right now? Like, I don't know if I didn't change my channel at the right time. I don't know what's happening.
It's pretty cool that they can do, like, I will say this, it's cool that Jake Gyllenhaal could one take Drake that shit, like, at the weigh-ins and in front of a live audience. Like, no matter what, the choreography is very impressive. If you can, like, if you asked me and you to do that, like, it would be very, very difficult. We'd look very silly just like doing
no.
There's live audience.
There's a 0% chance that they did 1% or one take on that. They definitely waited for everybody to clear out after and then did it again 7 more times. And with the movie magic, since they already have the people in the background for the one take, they don't need to, you know what I mean? Like, come on, Luke, take your pills.
All right. Okay, well, I think we need to get into next week's card, and we need to do it with some expediency. So,
Pronto.
Let's do this. If somebody said your take, don't say that. Let's just all come at them with just our notes. I got my notes here. You got your notes here. Everybody's got notes this week. So
I got to listen to you. And make sure you didn't say what I spent all day working on.
We'll just do it real efficiently. So Anton Turk. All right, so you guys, let me do a clean. Which one's this? UFC Vegas 71. UFC Vegas 71. Merab Dvalishvili is taking on Petr Yan. We're going to start at the bottom of the main card. We're going to take you through the main card, give you all of our picks, all of our predictions. Sit back, enjoy. We got the pleasure, man. Anton Turkalj. Anton Turkalj coming out of Sweden, 26 years old. He's the pleasure, man. Taking on the Brazilian, undefeated, 7-0, Victor Petrino. Victor Petrino is going to be 25 years old. He's last weighed in at 203.5 pounds. He's going to have equal height and reach to this guy pretty much. And Petrino is 77% favored on Tapology. He's a -140 favorite at the current odds. He's coming off the Contender Series with a knockout win 5 months ago, whereas this guy, the Pleasure Man, is coming off a submission loss to Jailton Almeida 5 months ago. Seems like it was the same card. No, not the same card. Contender Series. And this guy took a fight with Almeida coming off of a decision win on the Contender Series 6 months ago. So really, you're getting put in there with Almeida. Seems like you're doing the UFC a favor. You're going in there with a guy that not a lot of people want to fight. And what happened to you was what happens to people who fight Jailton Almeida. This guy, Victor Petrino, he's undefeated. He's 7-0. He's coming off a win. He's a slight favorite here. Part of me thinks that he's the pick. Not knowing too much about either of these guys, I think, all right, well, we know this guy, the Pleasure Man, is from Sweden. We know he's facing yet another Brazilian. This guy's pretty decently ranked for being 7-0 as a heavyweight in Brazil. And this fight is going to take place at light heavyweight. So the Pleasure Man's going to have to come down 10 pounds from his last fight, which pretty much probably just meant he didn't cut weight in his last fight, 214. So, yeah, probably just going to have a really easy weight cut here. I'm going to make it short and sweet and take Petrino.
I'm going to go with Petrino as well. I don't like the fact that his opponent there lost to Alexander Gustafsson in a grappling match. In grappling, you're going to lose to him? I don't think so. I'll take the guy who 90% of his wins are coming via knockout, and it's looking like a really young, exciting prospect from Brazil, the next light heavyweight prospect aside from Jailton Almeida. Give me Petrino here. Bobby Petrino.
And if you're gonna be in Sweden, man, you should be training at the better gym of the two in Sweden, right? Like you should be at All Stars, right?
All Stars, absolutely. You should definitely be in there with Hamza Chimaev every day, every single day. I'm taking Victor Petrino as well. I see he's a cow. I'm more of an acai guy. I think he's gonna go in there and get this one done.
All right, Triple B certified Petrino first.
Doesn't he kind of look like Brendan Vera, the Truth?
Yeah, mixed with Hody Baloney.
Yeah.
Next,
That's
a very interesting fight: Seyden Nurmagomedov, the rigid villain, if you ask me, versus Jonathan Martinez. When I say the rigid villain, I just mean like this guy does not care about being a people pleaser. He comes out there, he fucking pretty much loses his fights. So if you bet on him as a favorite, you're sitting there pissed off at him the whole time. So you bet on him, and then he finds a way to fucking win at the last second. He looked like dog shit against, say, Jacob Kakramanov. He was getting taken down at will, held there, and all of a sudden he pulls out a random guillotine out of his ass in the third round in a fight he was on his way to lose. Submission win against Cody Stamen. Was able to knock out Mark Striegel. And, his last loss was 3 years ago. Obviously, we see Russians are not getting the best tip of the hat from the judges these days, and they'll be the first to tell you that. It's so funny. These Russians, man, victim mentality, all of them out here saying the judges screwed them over all the time, whether it's Petr Yan, Sean O'Malley, whether it's fucking, what's the last one?
Ankalaev,
which was a draw. It was a draw, so Crimea River. What's the other one? There's another one recently, too. Zubaira Tukagov. It's like, guys, you know what all these 3 fights have in common? They were close, okay? They were close. So enough with this, close style fighting. I don't like Seyden Nurmagomedov, but Jonathan Martinez, to me, even in all these fights that he's won, right? Going all the way back to the Davey Grant KO, he has bad moments in every one of these fights. You know what I mean? He's got moments where he doesn't look that good. He looked really good against Cub, but I think that based on his opponents, right, you got Turbo Perez, you got Vince Moraes, you got Cub Swanson, you got Zavid Lalashvili. Basically what I'm trying to say is besides the undefeated Zavid Lalashvili, he's not facing that great of a competition, and he's not looking amazing. You know what I mean? I want to take Jonathan Martinez as an underdog here. I'm not going to. I'm picking Seyden Nurmagomedov. But Alex, what do you think?
I said, sir. I said Nurmagomedov, of course. Come on, man. Look at him. I mean, these are probably going to be some of the best odds we can get on him. Praying that off price tag. And Luke, you're sitting here talking about Ankalaev and how he was crying, and let's not forget that was a Mickey Mouse belt in the first place. So what are you crying for?
Right, yeah.
What are you crying for?
They all get Mickey Mouse belts. They all get Mickey Mouse belts. Khabib won his belt off Al Iaquinta. Islam Makhachev won his belt against Oliveira, who fucking didn't take it from Khabib, right? So, and then it's like, yeah, they've always been Mickey Mouse belts, dude.
Always and forever. The only person who doesn't have a Mickey Mouse belt is John Bones Jones.
Always been, never was. You know what I mean?
Lineal title holder.
Beat every champion besides Forrest Griffin. You know what I mean?
Who's already retired.
The belt. Yeah, exactly. Chuck Liddell and Forrest Griffin and Randy Couture. It's like Tito Ortiz. Those are the only guys he never fought in the light heavyweight division who were champions of the light heavyweight division, pretty much.
Exactly. But I'm going with Seyden Nurmagomedov. I just think he's going to be a little green behind the ears, especially. I mean, I know Sed doesn't do much wrestling, but I would imagine that's better than Martinez's. Martinez has struggled with guys who are a lot more pedestrian, that aren't made to be giants, and this guy's coming from Dagestan. You got to go with Nurmagomedov. Dan.
Yeah, I think Martinez is more of a technical striker. He's a little bit more clean, a little bit more crisp, but at the same time, I don't feel like he's got that killer instinct, that edge that Nurmagomedov has. I mean, that guy, like Luke said, he wasn't exactly winning his fight with Kakramanov, but he still had the dog mentality all the way through the end. That's how he's able to find that finish. That's how he's able to find a lot of his finishes, to be honest. So he's just super athletic, very dynamic, and tougher, to be honest, than Jonathan Martinez. I think that toughness is going to win the day here. So Nurmagomedov at a fairly priced line.
Mm-hmm. Dan, it's funny. The next fight that we're about to break down, Ricardo Ramos versus Austin Lingo. Ricardo Ramos, the cutest boy to ever lace up a pair of gloves, except for Randy Costa, and then he decided to get that atrocious mustache. Austin Lingo made me think of this. Last week, there was a guy, and they put on the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, they put this on the broadcast. They said, blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Don't even put anything. I'm a blue belt in Jiu-Jitsu. I looked at my girl, and I was like, oh, so I could I'm pretty much a UFC fighter. Like, if you really think about it, like, that guy's in the UFC. He's a blue belt. I'm a blue belt 2 stripes. They didn't even have the 2 stripes.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of guys, and he's from Texas, so his wrestling is mediocre at best. So it's like, okay, so a lot of these guys, I said this before, just being willing to show up is like half of being an MMA fighter, because there's so many people who just are talented enough to do it, like Jordan Burroughs, but are kind of like too scared to do it or whatever, you know what I mean? But there's a plenty of guys like Austin Lingo who are not talented enough to do it, but are willing, you know what I mean? And willingness will get you far in life, man. Just being able to show up and try is like half of it,
The story of Trevor Peake. He thought he was going to a car park, and all of a sudden he was fighting in a cage. He was like, oh, shit, well, I guess I'll still do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you got to give people like that credit. You know what I mean?
That takes balls of steel, man. Like, you thought your friend was hitting you up to go to a fight in town, and then all of a sudden there's lights, there's people yelling, a guy who's been training for this supposedly before you even knew that you were doing this. That's crazy.
So you gonna take Double R, even though he's got 2 losses in his last 5. The miracle Lerone Murphy knocked him out. Zubaira Tukhugov took him to a decision, and he lost. He knocked out Danny Chavez. He beat Bill Algeo, and he submitted Eduardo Gargori. That's his last 3 years in the UFC for you. He's a -300 favorite. And again, it's like they really know what they're doing here, right? Because he's got a Fortis MMA trained opponent. Saif Sayoud's going to get this guy ripe, right, and ready. But I really don't want to bet on Austin Lingo. But it's like at -300, it's like Ricardo Ramos. Like, this is looking too similar to some of the fighters who are in this age range, who are inconsistent, and who come in at these odds, and everybody parlays into this. He's just not what I would call a parlay pillar. There's just too much that could go wrong here. When you have
my big issue is that I believe I either had Luis Saldana, or I think I might have had Aldana. I forget which one I had, but I remember Lingo leaving a bad taste in my mouth that night. A bad taste. I remember having a bad taste in my mouth about both of the fighters. I remember Luis Aldana was kind of like putting his hands up in the air afterwards, wondering why he lost. And I remember thinking Austin Lingo kind of didn't give it all that he should have. I forget which one I bet on, but I remember both fighters left a bad taste in my mouth. And I think
it's fine to forget, because it was a year and 5 months ago. So
yeah,
that's the other thing to consider, is that this guy's coming off of 17 months on the couch by the time the fight takes place. And 17 months is a long ass time. I think,
I'll never forget that night. I broke my fight watching them on a phone at a fantasy football draft or a fantasy football party or something of that nature. And I dropped my phone, it broke, and I'm trying to watch it, and I got a black spot over Aldana's face the whole time, and I don't know what's going on. So I remember watching that fight having a terrible taste in my mouth. Maybe it was the broken phone. Maybe it was the actions that I was watching. I'm going with Ricardo Ramos because he was far distant from that fight. He wasn't there. So he had nothing. He had nothing to do with it. I'm going with Ricardo Ramos.
Yeah, I'm a little scared off by the 17 months as well, but in the opposite direction, I think it could benefit Lingo. He's a young fighter at a really good gym, taking the necessary time off. Wasn't it after a win? Is he coming off of a win?
He came off a win.
Yeah, so I mean, coming off of a win, and he's taking the time off to improve at a good gym.
Two decision wins in the UFC within 6 months.
Both with knockdowns.
His only loss is Yusuf Zalal, someone we're all high on, the Moroccan Devil.
I am going to go on the opposite end, though, with Ricardo Ramos for the reason that, again, he's a Texan guy. Doesn't have the best takedown defense. He's been taken down multiple times in some of his fights. Ricardo Ramos, training at Team Alpha Male now, a couple fights ago, landed 8 takedowns on Bill Algeo. So this isn't a guy who's going in with, I can't take a guy down 8 times. It's not going to look good. He's just going in for the win. Whatever it takes to get the win, he'll have the foresight to know that take this guy down, pretty easy dub. And again, training at Alpha Male, so he's going to get those reps in to get that accomplished. So I think it's I will say it's a parlay pillar.
But I like Fortis way better than Alpha Male, dude. If we're talking gyms, You know what I mean? Look how good Jeff Neal looked against.
Yeah, no, I love Forrest. Forrest is great, but is his grappling going to get that much better? Like, that's one thing I feel like takes such a long time for guys to become wrestlers. You can improve your striking pretty quickly, but to become a better wrestler, a competent wrestler, to have those instincts, that doesn't come around the corner like just in a couple days.
Well, Ramos will stay trophy certified for now, but know this: if we enter territory where we are, we got a perfect parlay still running, and Ramos is the next step back.
Sure.
Take the hedge on Lingo. You know what I mean? Take it on Lingo and ensure profitability, just like I said that everybody should have done as every favorite one, and then you get to Grasso and
No, since that Marquez fight, I am going to bet against my bet every single fucking time and just have both sides separately.
Well, it's funny,
especially when it's chalk.
Well, I actually simulated that, for this card, right? So I was going to tell you this later, but I listed out the fights and then I listed out the odds, and I said, what would it be if I did a $10 bet for the perfect parlay, right? And that was like $10 to win $2,200, right? Then I was like, okay, let's simulate this. Let's say I bet all the favorites, and then every time there's an underdog, I use that as an opportunity to hedge out. Well, what I found was that I could do that. I'll also tell you exactly. So let's say you have a $210 bankroll. You place a $10 bet on the parlay.
Hypothetically, that's not what Luke's playing with next weekend.
No, it's definitely not what I'm playing with next weekend. But I just was trying to give myself enough money to keep doing it. So I was like, I just guessed. I was like 210, we'll say. So you got 210 bankroll. You bet $10 on the parlay of all the favorites. You just parlay all the favorites on next week's card. $10 bet pays $2,545. Okay, perfect. Good. Now we know that. We have $200 left in our bankroll. First fight, the person who's an underdog is plus 150. So we just have to do a $10 bet, and then we'll either win 25 or we'll have $190 left in our bankroll and we'll have lost 20, right? So right off the bat, it gives you an opportunity to, if the first fight loses, okay, cool. Now at least I won $5 compared to what I've bet so far, and I can, use that to rebuild my parlays. But you keep doing that, and you would basically have to go a $20 bet on the next one. You'd have to go a $6 bet on the third one because it's Guido Canetti. He's got plus 675 odds. So to break even on that, you just need to throw 6 out. But then, as the lines narrow, you'll need to do, $30 bet, $70 bet, and $57 bets, right? By the time you have bet to hedge 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, you only have $7 left of that initial bankroll, which would mean you've bet $203 so far. Now, at that point, you'll still have that $2,545 parlay in the running. So in theory, you could still win $2,300.
And Luke, now it's making sense why I had to put more money into my DraftKings later that night. When I was like, wait a minute, didn't I put so much money in? I wanted to go big balls to the wall this week. I'm like, why do I already have to put more in? And now it's all making sense to me.
Why?
Because I hedged on 5 out of the 7 fights I got in a row, and my original pick was the correct pick. So I was hedging to do what you were doing, like a ladder technique where, okay, well, at least if I lose this one, I win back all of the things I lost on my initial investment. You know what I mean?
I think that it makes sense in this scenario. I basically kind of greenlit the first 4. You know what I mean? Because in the first 4, it's plus 150 odds, plus 105 odds, plus 675, plus 160. But then by that point, you've already kind of bet so much. And the next couple, the line is, there's no more really crazy lines like 675. So I think this is something to keep in mind. Obviously, you're never going to be able to engineer a perfect system because Vegas is going to ensure that you can't. But what you can do is say, okay, I'm going to give myself 4 hedge out opportunities. So now I'm trying to hit a perfect parlay, but I will pick 4 favorites that I just am going to bet against when that fight comes up in the parlay. I think the best way that this would work is when you have a shitload of those big, heavy favorites, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of was what we had last time. And that's why if Grasso was your opportunity, right? If you took it. But the problem is, as gambling is, it's if somebody's a big underdog, you are probably not going to want to bet them because there's a reason they're a big fucking underdog, right? So you
Mhm.
got to be sober enough to go.
But I don't know, man. Grasso was whooping her ass on the feet too,
Yeah.
and people aren't even like thinking about that. Like Grasso was holding herself very well. The only problem was the takedowns.
Yeah, Grasso was doing really good. All right, so but point is, yeah, you'll be in the negative. Basically, by the time you get to 3 fights left, right? When you have 3 fights left, you will be out $1,800.
Oh my gosh.
But you'll still, if at that point all the favorites have still won, you'll be in the running to win 2,545. So you'll essentially have 735 in potential winnings if the next 3 favorites win.
So to put it short, you're going to need a big nut to be pulling out of to
put it
make
short,
that profitable.
To put it short, right? The last 3 bets are minus 200, minus 205, minus 150. So if you add all those up, it literally equals 555, which is like my point is
Yeah.
the way that
I think I got it.
You will either at the end of the day, it's if you continuously bet on both outcomes, you're gonna always break even or lose money, or unless you can do it on underdogs where it's like live and you get like a very like big, you bet on an underdog and then you bet on the other guy as an underdog live. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't do it on every single one. I did it on the ones I was like least confident in. And then I was so confident in Marquez, I actually put more bets on him, as I said earlier. That was the dumb thing.
It's all math. It's all a math problem, and it's a math problem that Vegas has algorithms to solve itself, and we try to do on the back of a note card while drunk in a bar. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, guys, don't try to beat the system. Just fucking figure out who's gonna win and how, and bet that. That's the only way to fucking win money is to be right. I've said it for years. It does not matter what the odds are. It matters what's gonna happen. Okay, that's all that matters. If you know what's gonna happen, and you win every time because you always know what's gonna happen, what the fuck does it matter what the odds are? What does it matter if you win every time? But obviously that's hard to do, but we're trying to get better at it. I want to be able to know what's going to happen in every fight, every single time. And once I get there, then, you know.
And Luke, do you know what we have next? Nikita Krylov, Ryan Spann.
Yeah, simple.
Ryan Spann is kind of getting punished because Nikita Krylov got sick like a week or 2 ago. Like, this kind of sucks that you go from being the main event. Granted, the main event in that fight was not Yair Rodriguez, Marlon Chito Vera versus Corey Sandhagen, and that had to get rescheduled, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they moved one rung down the ladder, I guess, but when you have it right there and then the guy gets sick on hour 11, when you're about to go into the fight and you find out he's got diarrhea and they got to cancel the whole thing, you know, you were talking about how the Russians complain about judging and NATO and this and that, but you know, all I hear is the Ukrainians complaining about the Russians. So I'm gonna go with Ryan Spann here. I'm switching. I was heavy on Nikita Krylov, but if a little Hershey Squirts keeps you out of the fight, maybe you saw that old school video on SureDog of the guy pooping his pants and he got a little scared. Hey man, a little poop never hurt nobody. If you get DQ'd from poop, at least you went out there and died on your shield. All right. I pooped my pants too many times to give up on a fight just because of a little bit of poo-poo in the pants. Luke was here with a concussion last week. I'm in here with a concussion. I ran into a skier at full speed on my snowboard. It was terrible. It was so bad. My neck hurts, my back hurts. I feel in a fog. I felt in a fog for days, but I still come here. I still do it for the people, even though I tried to quit and Luke made me come anyway. And he was like, you want that Patreon money, don't you, Alex? You better come in and you better perform.
Here's the thing, like, you're not allowed to get in snowboarding accidents. So like, that's not a valid excuse. You shouldn't have let that happen. You gotta not be drinking on the mountain. You gotta not be having your headphones in on the mountain. You gotta have your eyes up on the mountain. You gotta not hit other people on the mountain. It's that simple. So I didn't accept that as a valid excuse.
I mean, I think other people shouldn't stand right below jumps and like just stand there. I think that's like the moral of the story is I can't see that. I go off the jump. Yeah. I'm coming and I'm like,
yeah.
No headphones in. I see him and I'm like trying to go around him. And then somebody just.
It doesn't change. It's defend yourself at all times, protect yourself at all times. Like that's what it comes down to.
Luke would never have sent it ever in his life, so he wouldn't understand.
Saying,
I'm going Ryan Spann, and I'm going to take a quick piss, boys.
See, now I like a lot of things about Ryan Spann here. I like that he's coming out of Fortis. I like that he is a taller, longer, more athletic fighter than his Ukrainian counterpart. I like that he's here in America with Fortis MMA, grinding hard, improving fight to fight. And, he's even got a win against Misha Serkinov. Fuck, no, that's not Sergey Pavlovich. I saw Misha Serkinov and I thought Sergey Pavlovich in my head. I was like, Jesus. But no, it's a different guy. Here's my thing, right? Ryan Spann is a basket case fighter. He is not all there between the eyebrows. He will find ways to lose, and then like he lost against Johnny Walker, right? And it was like, oh, back of the head, like that was the thing, right? Then he loses to Anthony Smith, and it's like, what's the excuse? What's the reason there? Point is, his wins aren't impressive at all. Ian Kutalaba, not impressive, even though I like him. Misha Serkinov, not that impressive. It's not Sergey Pavlovich. Dominic Reyes, KO power jab. Dominic Reyes has not won a round in a very long time, let alone a fight. He hasn't even been in a fight. He hasn't gotten knocked out in a very long time. So, point is, I really want to pick Ryan Spann here, plus 165. I picked him last time, and I think he would have won last time. But now that the fight has been moved, all this jerking him around, he's not the type of fighter who deals well with that shit. He's not going to come in well. He's going to be looking for, he's going to be like, man, and this and that. And this, I'm telling you, like, this guy, I really want him to win here. Fuck. I want to pick him because I think he would have won last time, but there's just something telling me he's going to lose because this time, you know what I mean?
I'm thinking the opposite. I think that Ryan Spann is a chaotic guy, and I think he's going to thrive in this chaotic environment with the fight moving. I think it's going to motivate him. He's going to think, this bitch-ass motherfucker, he's missing because he's got a little flu, got a little cold, and now I got to cut weight again. I think he's going to come in pissed off. It's going to energize him. He likes the chaos. He likes having things moving around a little bit. And yeah, listen, this isn't GSP who's, counting calories and, making sure you show up to the gym on time. He may not even show up to the gym at all. So this is a guy who lives in chaos. And this is a perfect scenario, in my opinion, going into this fight. I'm sticking with Spann. This is not a Derek Lewis situation where I, change the pick just based on the rescheduling of the fight. Sticking true Ryan Spann.
I am switching to Krylov. Alex switched from Krylov to Spann. I am switching from Spann to Krylov. No, I'm not. Fuck. I can't do this, dude. Plus 165. I gotta go with Spann. I don't like it. I don't like this pick anymore.
You just gave this whole speech about it doesn't matter what the odds are. Then your next pick, the value's there.
You're right. I think Spann gets knocked out cold. It's Krylov.
All right, stick with it. Stick with your guns.
Yeah, it's Krylov. Fuck, man, I gotta switch. It's not. I'm not excited about this, guys, because I really think that Spann as the underdog was the value pick last time. I had him all day, all night. But Spann is Alex switched from Krylov to Spann. I'm switching from Spann to Krylov. No triple B certified pick here. But I look at Spann as definitely a hedge out opportunity. I mean, if I have a perfect parlay going by that point, I'll definitely sprinkle a little bit on Spann as an underdog. But I don't know, man. I'm just thinking Krylov gets the win here. Next fight, we got Alexander Romanov versus Alexander Volkov. Alex Ov versus Alex Ov. What are we going to do? One guy's got an E in his Alexander name at the end there. Alexander Romanov does not have that E between the D and the R at the end of his first name. So he's coming in one E short. He's coming in an E down. Two Alexanders, but one of them has an E. The other doesn't. It's tough, man. I loved Alexander Romanov. I thought he was such a fucking prospect. I wanted to bet on him in every single fight he was in. But his loss to Marcin Tybura, no matter what, dude, no matter what you think about that fight, yeah, he dominated in moments. But guys, it's really it's bad. It's bad. He was like minus 1,000, I think, in that fight. Let's see. He was what? He was minus 360. He was a minus 360 fave in that fight. So blown away by that loss. In a million years, I didn't think Romanov would have lost that fight. So now I'm very low on Romanov. He has no really, Rock Martinez, not impressive. Rogerio de Lima, not impressive. Juan Espino, Juan Espino was impressive, but he almost lost that one. Jared Vandera, not impressive. Chase Sherman, not impressive. Marcin Tybura, lost, not impressive. Looking like shit in the third round of that fight, not impressive. So I'm really low on him here. Thank God the odds are too. I'm going with Alexander Romanov. But obviously I'm not psyched about it after his last performance, but I got to do it.
Yeah, those big ass legs are going down. I think Romanov gets the takedowns. I understand not a very good performance in his last fight, but that almost gives me more reason to bet him in this one. How many times is there multiple stinkers in a row by these guys, especially a guy that we see has all the talent in the world in the grappling department? I am anticipating a bounce back here against a guy who really can't defend the takedown. I think it's Romanov all the way.
Danny, you couldn't be more right. I mean, this is the best odds we're going to get on a guy like Romanov. And yeah, he had a bad fight in the last fight. It wasn't terrible. It was a majority decision. One judge scored it for him. Volkov, he loses. He loses. He has this Christmas tree projection in his career. Beats Fabricio Verdum, loses to Derek Lewis. Beats Greg Hardy, loses to Curtis Blades. Walt Harris win. Alistair Overeem win. Cyril Gahn loss. Marcin Tybura win. Tom Aspinall loss. Jairzinho Rosenstruck win. He really only wins when it's his type of matchup, his type of style. I think Romanov can take him down and absolutely dismantle him. I think he's a better wrestler than Curtis Blades. I just think he just needs to manage the gas tank and not do anything stupid. Romanov can... There's a very easy path to victory for Romanov, and I think he's going to take it, and I think he's going to do it.
Absolutely. Does that lead us to our main event? Is that where we're at?
Sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Main event time. We got Petr Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili. So I think right off the bat, the thing that really sticks out to me is Dvalishvili being the longtime training partner of Aljamain Sterling, who has coming off of 2 straight fights versus Yan. So Ray Longo and Camp are going to have a lot of tape, a lot of study hours already logged in on Yan. That being said, is Merab like a back take guy like Aljamain? Will he be able to employ a similar game plan? I don't know. I don't think so. A little bit extra cause for pause here on top of that, though, is Jan's activity, his volume, right? Especially in a 5-round fight. I feel like Merab, although his striking isn't as effective, he throws so much stuff out there. So that next thing you know, even though you haven't taken all that much damage, you're down 3-1 in strikes. So I think that could play a factor. At the end of the day, I think that Yan, through the course of 5 rounds, will have the bigger moments, the bigger strikes, will have enough to keep the takedowns at bay. I think it's going to be very close and we're sweating the whole way through. And definitely, if I make it here, gotta hedge a little bit at least on Merab. But I'm thinking Vegas has got this one right too with Yan. I think he's at minus 220, something like that. So that's my pick here. It's gonna be close though.
Dude, Petr Yan is an absolute animal. I love Petr Yan, but something tells me that he doesn't want to be in the UFC anymore. Something tells me that he's not interested in fighting for a title again in the UFC. And something tells me that the UFC knows that. And they're giving him this fight against a guy who, I think Merab loses a fight against Yan 10 times out of 10. I think Merab wins a competition against Yan not 8 or 9 times out of 10, right? Because Merab is a really good frustrator, right? And Yan is one that can be frustrated. And Yan is one who doesn't put up a lot of volume, whereas Merab is the machine for a reason. He's going to constantly be coming at you, doing offense. So it's like, to me, this is open and shut. Like, Merab's going to win this fight. He said, I don't care. I'm not losing to this guy. He was like, I'm not going to. He's like, Aljamain said that he said, I don't care if I lose to Ricky Simon. I don't care if I lose to this guy. I don't care if I lose to that guy. But I cannot lose to this guy. Probably something to do with the Georgia-Russia kind of, Caucasus Mountains inner beef that these guys all have something to do with. I don't know. But, dude, I'm going. I mean, like I said, plus 190, Merab Dvalishvili, like against Petr Yan, who, fought his training partner Aljamain twice, who Petr Yan's got great takedown defense, but I don't know. I think that Merab's going to win this fight. It's going to be boring. It's going to be annoying. And he's just too brick-headed. He's not going to get knocked out. Merab's not going to get knocked out. I don't like Merab. I think that, he's he's really ruining the division. I don't like what he did to Jose Aldo. I don't like that fight. I didn't even really think he won that fight very well. But yeah, I think Merab wins this fight.
Yeah, I'm going with Merab. He's got wins over great guys, and he does have 3 or 4 losses, but to guys like Ricky Bandejas, Bellator guy, lost to Frankie Steins, split decision. The technical submission wasn't. If you guys remember that, he wasn't out, and they stopped the fight. They stopped the fight, and he was still conscious with no time on the clock. It was third round, 5 minutes in, they just stopped the fight. He's got wins over really good guys. I mean, Rafian Stotts, Bellator bantamweight champion, comes to mind. His only loss, Rafian Stotts. So I'm gonna go with Merab. That's a great price tag. I just don't think the wrestling is as good for Petr Yan. I think that Merab goes out there and wrestles the hell out of him, puts in an unbelievable pace on him for 5 rounds, and destroys him.
Love it. So I'm going with every single favorite on the main card except Merab. Alex, I switched from Spann to Krylov. I told Dan, I was like, I don't like this pick. I don't like picking Krylov, but I think in that main event 5-round spot, that atmosphere, that night, I really was feeling Spann. But I think that Spann's the type of head case to get thrown off by all of the ways out that he has now, all of the excuses he can make between now and then. Well, this got switched up and that got switched up. And I just think for a guy like Spann, that's going to create a lot of head trash, a lot of thought trash. And it's going to, for a guy like Krylov, who's just a fucking idiot, it would seem, right? Like the way he fights, like, you know what I mean? He just fights like a fucking complete
Neanderthal.
Barbarian, like, just absolute, like, and then he does that and then gets choked out sometimes. So very low ring IQ in there. But my point is, I just think he's going to go in there and fucking swing his hands so fucking hard and fast. And one of those is going to dap Spann up and knock him out. You know what I mean? Simple as that. I think Spann's a better fighter. I think Spann would have won last time. But I think now that he's gotten a couple weeks to get it's like he's stalling Spann out. He's icing him. He's icing him now.
Icing the kicker.
Yep. He dragged him up, dragged him down. He's too dumb, Krylov, to let this mess with him. He's not like that deep of a thinker to be like, oh, but what now? But Spann's like, I felt good that night, and now he's gonna second guess. You know what I mean? And that's my theory.
All right.
We got to break down the prelims, guys. So we're hopping over to the Patreon. If you want to get the extra episode, if you want to get the prelims picks, you got to join the Patreon. But Alex, Dan, take them through your full main card picks real quick. Just list them off real quick. And then if you want to get the rest of them, you want to get the rest of the Trophy certified picks, you got to go to the Patreon. Trophy certified picks, I'll list those real quick before you guys go. We got Alexander Romanov. We got Ricardo Ramos. But like we said, a little bit nervous about that line there. We got Said Nurmagomedov. But again, Jonathan Martinez, he's a good pick. Like, neither of those two are parlay pillars in my estimation. Alex and Dan might feel differently. And we got newcomer, undefeated Brazilian Victor Petrino going in there against somebody who we've seen beaten and submitted by a Brazilian before. So just hoping history repeats there. 4 Triple certified picks in the main card, with Alexander Romanov, to me, being the most succulent of the picks to take at those odds.
All right, I'll start from the bottom here, going with Vitor Petrino, Said Nurmagomedov, Ricardo Ramos, Ryan Spann, Alexander Romanov, and finally Petr Yan.
Oh, you're going with Petr Yan. Oh my gosh. I gotta listen better. I gotta do more of that. I got Victor Petrino, Said Nurmagomedov, Ricardo Ramos, Ryan Spann, Alexander Romanov, and Merab Dvalishvili. I really wanted to switch on Austin Lingo. I kind of want to take Austin Lingo.
If you made it, go ahead. You can.
I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, Austin Lingo is definitely tempting. The time off at Fortis could serve him well. We'll likely be talking about this all week and throughout the time in the Discord too. But for now, I'm going to keep it simple. Only one dog for me on the main card. Guys, if you made it this long, you must like the show. You must want an extra episode. You must want to support the show. For right now, there's a discount. Get into that Patreon. Get into the Patreon. Sign up for a full year. If you're already in the Patreon, cancel your membership. Sign up for the full year. Let's go. We need a nice foundation of supportive people who are going to be with us for the long haul 365. If you want to sample and come in for a month, I highly suggest you don't do that, my dog. I highly suggest you don't do that. Get into the Patreon. Join us for the prelims episode. We're getting right in there to do it right now, uncensored. It's going to be a circus. See you soon.